Hello, sorry for the lack of streams and the late night stream. I think this will be the only times I'm able to stream. I have to get back to doing streams, and stop trying to pick the right time. There's never going to be the right time. I'm just going to do it. Let's play some Deathtrap dungeon, shall we? Everything should be good to go.
Despite its name, Fang was an ordinary small town in a northern province of Chiang Mai, situated on the banks of a river. It made a convenient stopover for river traders and passengers throughout most of the year. A few barges, rafts, and sometimes even a large sailboat could usually be found moored at Fang. But all that was long ago, before the creation of the Trial of Champions. Now, once a year,
Hell yeah,
the river is crammed with boats as people arrive from hundreds of miles around, hoping to witness the breaking of an ancient tradition and see a victor in the Trial of Champions. On the 1st of May, each
need
year,
more lore.
warriors and heroes come to Fang to face the test of their lives. Survival is unlikely, yet many take the risk, for the prize is great. A purse of 10,000 gold pieces and the freedom of Chiang Mai forever. But to become champion is no easy task. Some years ago, a powerful baron of Fang called Sukhumvit decided to bring attention to his town by creating the ultimate contest. With the help of the townspeople, he constructed a labyrinth deep in the hillside behind Fang, from which there was only one exit. The labyrinth was filled with all kinds of deadly tricks and traps and loathsome
One way
monsters.
in, one way out.
Sukhumvit had designed it in meticulous detail,
Hell yeah.
so that anybody hoping to face its challenge would have to use their wits as well as weapon skill. When he was finally satisfied that all was complete, he put his labyrinth to the test. He picked 10 of his finest guards, and fully armed, they marched into the labyrinth. They were never seen again.
Shit.
The tale of the ill-fated guards soon spread throughout the land, and it was then that Sukhumvit announced the first Trial of Champions. Messengers and news sheets carried his challenge, 10,000 gold pieces and freedom of Chiang Mai forever to any person surviving the perils of the labyrinth of Fang. The first year,
Sounds like a good deal to me.
warriors attempted the walk, as it later became known. Not one reappeared. As the years passed and the Trial of Champions continued, it attracted more and more challengers and spectators. Fang prospered and would prepare itself months in advance for the spectacle it hosted each May. The town would be decorated, tents erected, dining
It's gonna
halls
be
built,
May.
musicians, dancers, fire eaters, illusionists, and every sort of entertainer hired, and entries registered from hopeful individuals intent on making the walk. The last week of April found the people of Fang and its visitors in wild celebration. Everybody sang, danced, and laughed until the day broke on the 1st of May.
Hell of a
The town
party.
thronged to the gates of the labyrinth to watch the first challenger of the year step forward to face the Trial of Champions. Having seen one of Sukhumvit's challenges nailed to a tree, you decide that this year you will attempt the walk. For the last 5 years, you have been attracted to it, not for
It
the
gonna be my
rewards,
year.
but for the simple fact that nobody has ever yet emerged victorious from the labyrinth.
Yeah.
You intend to make this the year in which a champion is crowned. Gathering up a few belongings, you set off immediately 2 days' walk takes you west to the coast, where you enter the cursed port Black Sand. Wasting no time in that city of thieves, you buy your passage on a small boat sailing north to where the river Cote
Neat.
meets the sea. And from there you raft upriver for 4 days, until finally you arrive in Fang. The trial begins in 3 days' time, and the town is in an almost hysterical mood of excitement. You register your
Let's
entry
prepare.
with the officials and are given a violet scarf to tie around your arm, informing everyone of your status. For 3 days, you enjoy Fang's greatest hospitality and are treated like a demigod. During the long merriment, you almost forget your purpose in Fang. But the evening before the trial, the magnitude of the task ahead begins to dominate your thoughts. Later, you are taken to a special guest house and are shown your room. There is a splendid 4-poster bed with satin sheets to help you rest, but there is little time left for sleep. Just before
Bring
dawn,
it on.
a trumpet call awakens you from vivid dreams of flaming pits and giant black spiders. Minutes later, there is a knock on your door, and a man's voice rings out saying,
Spooky spiders.
"Your challenge begins soon. Please be ready to leave in 10 minutes. You climb out of
Well,
bed,
shit.
walk over to the window and open the shutters. Already people are thronging the streets, moving quietly through the morning mist. Spectators, no doubt on their way to the labyrinth, hoping to find good vantage points from which to watch the competitors. Walking over to a wooden table on which your trusty sword and shield lie, you pick them up and cut the air with a mighty sweep, wondering
Hell
which
yeah.
beasts your sword's sharp edge may soon have to meet. You open the door
We're
into
a
the
warrior.
corridor, and a small man greets you with a low bow as
Warrior.
you emerge from your bedroom. "Please follow me," he says. He turns to his left and walks
You got
quickly
it.
towards the stairs at the end of the corridor. Walking through a parting in the crowds, you see Baron Suckenpit himself, standing by the entrance waiting to greet the contender in the trial of champions. You count 5 others standing proudly in line, their violet scarves displayed for all to see. There are 2 bare-chested barbarians dressed in furs. They
Neat.
stand completely motionless, legs straight and slightly apart, arms thrust forward to rest on the hilts of their long, double-headed battle axes. A sleek elven woman with golden hair and feline green eyes is adjusting the crossbelt of daggers wrapped around her leather tunic. Of the 2 remaining men, one is covered from head to foot in iron plate armor, with a plumed helmet and a crested shield. The other is cloaked in black robes.
Do we even have
Only
armor?
his dark eyes showing between the swarms of his black-faced scars. Long knives, a wire garrote, and other silent death weapons hang from his belt. The 5 contenders acknowledge your arrival with almost imperceptible nods of the
Hell
head,
yeah.
and you turn to face the exultant crowd for the last time. Suddenly, a hush falls over the crowd as Baron Suckenbit steps forward, holding 6 bamboo sticks. You draw one from his outstretched hand, and you read the word, 5th. Then the trial
Not
begins.
bad.
The knight is first. He salutes the crowd
Better than
before
first.
disappearing into the tunnel, and is followed half an hour later by the elf. Next goes a barbarian, and then the dark assassin. Next, it's your turn. But before embarking on your adventure, we must first determine your own strengths and weaknesses. You have in your possession
Okay.
a sword, a shield, and a backpack for carrying provisions for the trip. You have been preparing for your quest by training yourself
No
in
armor though.
swordplay and exercising rigorously. To see how effective your preparations have been,
Sure.
dice will be rolled to determine your skill, stamina, and luck scores. Or, if you wish to begin your adventure immediately, you can choose between 3 ready-made adventurers.
Let's get the roll on.
First, we'll roll for your initial level of skill. This reflects your sword skill and fighting expertise, and will be determined by rolling 1 die and adding 6.
Hopefully a good roll.
Next, we'll roll for your initial
That'll
stamina,
do.
which represents your strength. So the higher your stamina score, the longer you will survive. This will be determined
Come on,
by
high
rolling 2
roll.
dice and adding 12.
I'll take the 20.
Next, we'll roll for your initial luck, which represents how lucky an adventurer you are. Luck and magic are facts of life in the fantasy world you're about to explore. This is determined by rolling 1 die and adding 6.
Good roll.
You may also take a magical potion with you to aid you on your quest. Each bottle of potion contains 2 measures, so can be used twice during an adventure. You can choose from a potion of skill that restores your skill points to their initial amount, a potion of strength that restores your stamina points to their initial amount, or a potion of fortune that not only restores your luck points to their initial amount, but will also increase your initial luck score by 1 each time it's used.
Which one?
Lastly, before you begin your quest, you are given enough provisions for 10 meals. When you eat a meal, your stamina score will increase by 4 points. But don't forget, your stamina can never exceed the initial amounts you've just set.
Okay, sounds
You have
good.
a long way to go, so use your provisions wisely.
Will do.
During your adventure, you'll enter into combat a number of times, and the further you go, the tougher your opponents will be. Combat takes place over several rounds, and your attack strength is based on yours and your enemy's skill scores. For each round of battle, we'll roll 2 dice for you and 2 for your opponent, adding the results to your skill scores.
And we have an okay
These
skill
are your
score.
respective attack strengths. Whoever's attack strength is the highest wins that round of combat. If you both had the same attack strength in a round, then it will be a tie. In some battles, you can take an opportunity to escape. But beware. If you do run away, your opponent will automatically score 1 hit on you as you flee, costing you 2 stamina points. So be sure
well
you
that
have
sucks
enough.
then.
Such is the price of cowardice.
True.
You are playing using the new battle system, where the battle takes place over 3 rounds. Your sheer battle-hardened nature will mean you'll always win the battle after the 3 rounds, but every round you lose will cost you 2 stamina points. So be careful. Losing all your stamina will still be fatal. At the start
Got
of each
it.
round, you'll have a short time to decide to fight or to build up your stamina by eating your provisions or taking a potion, if you have one. You are playing using the traditional battle system from the original
What's the
Deathtrap dungeon
original?
book. At the start of each round, you'll have a short time to decide to fight or to build up your stamina by eating your provisions or taking a potion, if you have one. After each battle round, you'll be able to test your luck. By using luck in battles, you can either score a more serious wound on your opponent or minimize the effects of a wound scored on you. If you test your luck after you have just wounded your opponent, we'll roll 2 dice, and if the total is the same or less than your current luck score, you
We
will
do
have been
have
lucky
pretty good luck.
and will take an extra 2 points from your opponent's stamina. But if the roll is greater, then the damage to your opponent will be halved. If your opponent has just inflicted a 2 stamina wound on you, a lucky roll will halve that damage, but an unlucky roll will take an additional stamina point. One last thing. Testing your luck has a cost. Each time you test your luck score will be reduced by 1 point.
Ah, okay, so that's the catch. Hey there, hope you are well. And hopefully my volume is good.
You are playing using the new battle system, where the battle takes place over 3 rounds.
Let's do the new
Your
system, I
sheer
think.
battle-hardened nature will mean you'll always win the battle after the 3 rounds, but every round you lose will cost you 2 stamina points. So be careful. Losing all your stamina will still be fatal. At the start of each round, you'll have a short time to decide to fight or to build up your stamina by eating your provisions or taking a potion.
We have good luck, but having the luck go down each time would be a pain.
Now it is your turn to salute the crowd. Holding your violet scarf aloft, you take one final deep
Hell
breath
yeah.
of cool, fresh air before turning
To battle.
pass between the stone-pillared gateway into circumvent's corridors of power to face unknown perils on the walk through
Let's
the
get
mighty
onto it.
Baron's Deathtrap dungeon.
He said the thing. Title drop. Steam.
The clamour of the excited spectators gradually fades behind you as you venture deep into the gloom of the cavern. Large crystals hang from the tunnel roof at 20-meter intervals, radiating just enough soft light for you to see your way. As your eyes gradually become accustomed to the near darkness, you begin to see movement all around. Spiders and beetles crawling up and down the chiseled walls disappear quickly into cracks
Spooky
and crevices
spiders.
as they sense your approach. Rats and mice scurry along the floor ahead of you.
Rat jam.
Droplets of water drip into small pools with an eerie plopping sound which echoes down the tunnel. The air is cold, moist, and dank. After walking slowly along the tunnel for about 5 minutes, you arrive at a stone table standing against the wall to your left. On it, there are 6 boxes, one of which has your name painted on its lid.
Can I just take all the boxes?
The lid of the box lifts off easily, and inside you find 2 gold pieces and a note written on a small piece of parchment addressed
Ooh,
to
nice.
you. After placing the gold in your pocket, you read the message, which says, "Well done. At least you had the sense to stop and take advantage of the token aid given to you. Now I can advise you that you will need to find and use several items if you hope
We
to
did
pass
good job.
triumphantly through my Deathtrap dungeon." Signed, Succumbit. Memorizing the advice on the note, you tear it into tiny pieces and continue north along the tunnel, where you come to a junction. A white arrow painted on one wall points west. On the floor, you can see wet footprints made by those who entered before you. It's hard to be sure, but it looks as though 3 of them followed the direction of the arrow, while one decided to go east.
East or west, a tough choice. I guess west.
Following the 3 sets of wet footprints along the west passage of the tunnel, you soon arrive at a junction.
I guess follow the 2.
Walking along the tunnel, you are surprised to see a large iron bell hanging down from the ceiling.
Hell yeah, we ring that bell.
A dull bong sounds from the bell like a death toll. Everything around you begins to vibrate. You grit your teeth as your head starts to shudder. Your whole body is trembling.
I'm vibrating.
You fall to the floor, losing 2 skill points and 2 stamina points. You quiver and shake,
Damn.
writhing convulsively on the floor as the vibrations intensify. You search desperately for a way of stopping the bell.
Shit.
You pull your boot off your foot and force yourself to reach up and hold it against the bell. And slowly, the bell stops vibrating, and the pain in your body gradually eases.
Good thinking.
You manage to stand up, but you do not release your boot from the bell until it becomes completely still. You put your boot back on and continue your journey west. The tunnel veers sharply to the right and continues north for as far as you can see. You hear a tremendous commotion in the distance, growling and snarling and howling. You draw your sword and set off in the direction
growling.
of the noise. Ahead, in the dim light, you see 2 hobgoblins fighting, punching, and kicking each other furiously. Next to where the
Loot
hobgoblins
goblins.
are fighting, there is a leather bag lying on the floor. And it seems to be this that they are fighting.
Don't touch the bag.
The hobgoblins stop their fight
immediately. They do not understand what you are saying and snarl at you viciously. Then they
Shit.
draw their short swords and run forward to attack you, one at a time.
Fight time, I guess.
The hobgoblin runs at you, but you twist aside as your sword lands home. With one eye still on the bag, the hobgoblin doesn't see you attack and screeches as you land
Nice.
the blow. Pretending to be tired, you bend over but grab a handful of dirt and throw it in the hobgoblin's face, making your subsequent
Pocket
attack
sand.
very effective.
The first hobgoblin couldn't keep up with your skill and falls aside, lifeless. You ready yourself to fight the other.
Bring it on.
You run at the hobgoblin, but it's ready and lands a punch squarely on your chin.
Damn.
The hobgoblin runs at you, but you twist aside as your sword lands home.
Hell yeah.
With
And
one eye
enjoy
still
the
on
lurk.
bag, the hobgoblin doesn't see you attack and screeches as you
Much
land the
love.
blow.
Cut and bruised from your victorious battle, you see that the hobgoblins have nothing of any use to you on them. So you decide to open the bag on the floor. Inside, you find a corked earthenware jug. You uncork it and sniff the liquid inside. It smells sharp and acrid.
Hum. You know what? What the hell? Let's drink it.
You lift the jug to your lips and take a deep swig of the liquid. The moment it hits your mouth, it burns so much that you drop the jug and grab your throat in agony.
Spicy.
You have swallowed acid, costing you 1 skill point and 4 stamina points.
Oops.
Thick smoke rises up from where the acid has fallen from the broken jug. You fall to the floor and crawl along, desperately trying to find drinkable water in the shallow pools of the dripping tunnel. This will be a test of your luck. We'll roll 2 dice, and if the number rolled is equal to or less than your current luck score, you have been lucky. But if the roll is higher than your luck score,
Sounds good.
then your luck isn't in. You find a pool behind the dead
Hell
hobgoblins
yeah.
and take great gulps of the cool water as quickly as you can. The water neutralizes the acid, and slowly you begin to recover. Still in great pain, you haul yourself to your feet and set off north. The tunnel soon takes another sharp right turn. Following it east,
So far not
you
a good
arrive at
start to
strange
the dungeon.
obstruction. A row of 12 wooden poles across the tunnel. They are fixed to the walls at each end, about half a meter off the floor and spaced about a meter apart.
We gonna walk all over them.
You step confidently onto the first pole and stride across to the next. As you land on the third pole, it immediately releases a shower of sharp splinters, each several centimeters long, and losing you 2 luck points.
Oops,
They fly
again.
out in all directions at great speed, and you can't avoid being hit. We'll roll 2 dice for the
Shit.
number of splinters that sink into your flesh. Each one that hits you will cost you 1 stamina point. You manage to scramble over the remaining poles and sit down to the painful task of removing the splinters from your body. After resting for a while, you set off east again. The tunnel ends at a junction.
7 left.
The footprints
Oh.
you have been following turn north, and you decide to stay with them. You soon come to another junction in the tunnel. One branch leads east, but the wet footprints you have been following continue north, and you decide to follow their trail. The passage opens out into a wide cavern which is darker but much drier. Ahead, you see the footprints gradually fade, then disappear. There is a large idol in the center of the cavern that must be 6 meters high. In its head are jeweled eyes, each as big as your fist. On either side of the idol stand two
I want the
giant
shiny
stuffed,
things.
bird-like creatures. The idol is very smooth.
Those are mine.
To climb. Some rope would have been ideal for this task, but alas, you don't have any. So slowly and carefully, you begin to climb the idol. You're about to grab hold of its large ear when suddenly your foot slips. We'll need to check how lucky you are. We'll roll 2 dice, and if the number rolled is equal to or less than your current luck score, you have been lucky. But if the number rolled is higher than your current luck score, you have been unlucky. You just managed to grab the idol's earlobe and regain your footing. You scramble over its face and sit down on the bridge of its nose. You draw your sword and consider which jeweled eye to prize out first.
Let's get the right eye.
You try to force the point of your sword under the emerald eye. Much to your surprise, it shatters on contact, releasing a jet of poisonous gas straight into your face. The gas knocks you out and you fall backwards, bouncing down the idol to land on the stone floor. Your adventure ends here.
Triple shit.
The clamour of the excited spectators gradually fades behind you as you venture deep into the gloom of the cavern. Large crystals hang from the tunnel roof at 20-meter
Let's start
intervals,
from the beginning, again.
Just enough soft light for you to see your way. As your eyes gradually become accustomed to the near darkness, you begin to see movement all around. Spiders and beetles crawling up and down the chiseled walls disappear quickly into cracks and crevices as they sense your approach. Rats and mice scurry along the floor ahead of you. Droplets of water drip into small
bugs in your
pools
crack
with
is
an
a bad
eerie
thing.
Plopping sound, which echoes down the tunnel. The air is cold, moist, and dank. After walking slowly along the tunnel for about 5 minutes, you arrive at a stone table standing against the wall to your left. On it, there are 6 boxes, one of which has your name painted on its lid. The lid of the box lifts off easily, and inside you find 2 gold pieces and a note written on a small piece of parchment addressed to you. After placing the gold in your pocket, you read the message.
We take the box, cause we need the gold probably for later.
At least you had the sense to stop and take advantage of the token aid given to you. Now I can advise you that you will need to find and use several items. if you hope to pass triumphantly through my Deathtrap dungeon. Signed, Succumbit.
Boom.
Memorizing the advice on the note, you tear it into tiny pieces and continue north along the tunnel, where you come to a junction. A white arrow painted on one wall points west. On the floor, you can see wet footprints made by those who entered before you. It's hard to be sure, but it looks as though 3 of them followed the direction of the arrow, while 1 decided to go east.
I think we'll go east this time.
Ahead, you can see a large obstruction on the tunnel floor. Although it is too dark to make out exactly what it is, the wet eastbound footprints you have been following carry on towards the obstruction. You see that the obstruction is a large brown boulder-like object. You touch it with your hand and are surprised to find that it is soft and spongy.
Probably best to leave it alone, but what's the fun in that?
Your sword easily pierces the thin outer casing of the giant spore ball. A thick brown cloud of spores bursts out of the ball and envelops you. Some of the spores stick to your skin and start to itch terribly.
Oops.
You lose 2 stamina points as great lumps come up on your face and arms, and your skin feels as if it is on fire. Frantically scratching your itching lumps, you step over the now deflated spore ball. Pressing on east, you turn left, which heads north for as far as you can see. The footprints you are following start to peter out as the tunnel becomes gradually drier. Soon you are beyond the dripping roof and the pools on the floor. You notice the air becoming hotter, and you find yourself panting even though you are walking quite slowly. In a small recess on the left-hand wall, you see a section of bamboo standing on its end. Lifting it down, you see it is filled with a clear liquid. Your throat is painfully dry, and you feel a little dizzy from the heat in the tunnel.
What the hell, might as well.
The water in the bamboo pipe is welcomely refreshing and adds 1 stamina point.
Ooh,
it also contains a magical solution, which will enable you to be exposed to melting point temperatures without harm.
Hell yeah.
Discarding the bamboo, you start off north again, in good spirits. You find yourself dripping with sweat as the temperature continues to rise. As you struggle on, the heat intensifies until it becomes so unbearable that you feel yourself begin to pass out. Although the temperature in the tunnel is higher than you could normally tolerate, the liquid from the bamboo pipe keeps you alive, and mercifully, after a few moments, the temperature drops rapidly and soon feels almost cool again.
Hell yeah.
On the left-hand side of the tunnel is a closed door. It has a small iron plate in it, which looks like it might slide open.
I'm curious about the plate.
The small plate slides open easily, and you find yourself peering into a room with a deep pit in the floor behind the door.
Hum.
On the opposite wall, there is a coil of rope hanging on one of 2 iron hooks.
I need that rope for later.
The door swings open into the room, and you step back and jump over the pit. You put the rope in your backpack and jump back over the pit to leave the room
Nice.
and head north. Ahead, you see that the tunnel turns sharply to the left. You turn a corner and almost bump straight into 2 fierce-looking orcs armed with morning stars and wearing leather armor. You are totally unprepared for them and struggle to ready
Battle
your
time.
weapons. The orcs roar, and as you draw your sword, one of them swings its morning star at you, which sinks agonizingly into your left thigh, costing you 3
Ouch.
stamina points. You stagger backwards, but manage to regain your balance in time to defend yourself. Fortunately, the tunnel is too narrow for both orcs to attack you at once, so you fight them, one at a time.
You quickly eat some provisions, increasing your stamina by 4 points. You raise your sword to parry the attack and are able
Boom.
to kick the orc hard. in the stomach.
Nice.
The orc is strong but slow, and you're able to strike hard with your sword.
Woot woot.
Your shield protects you from the orc's frenzied attack, while you're able to hack at its leg.
The first orc slumps lifeless.
That's
to the floor,
one down.
so you turn your attention to the other.
You both swing for each other, and in the confusion, both miss.
Damn.
You raise your sword to parry the attack, and are able to kick the orc hard in the stomach. The orc is strong but slow, and you're able to
Nice.
strike hard with your sword.
Inside one of the orc's pockets, you find 1 gold piece and a hollow wooden tube. You put your findings in your backpack and set off west. As you walk along,
Good loot.
droplets of water again start falling from the tunnel ceiling. Heading west, you see wet footprints made by the same boots that you followed earlier. They lead to a closed iron door in the right-hand wall of the tunnel, but do not seem to go any further.
I'll ignore the door for now.
The passage soon leads to a junction where you notice more footprints on the floor, possibly as many as 3 pairs, heading north from the south passage. You decide to follow them to where the passage opens out into a wide cavern, which is darker but much drier. Ahead, you see the
okay.
footprints gradually fade, then disappear. There is a large idol in the center of the cavern that must be 6 meters
We're
high.
at where we were before.
In its head are jeweled eyes, each as big as your fist. On either side of the idol stand 2 giant stuffed, bird-like creatures.
At least I have rope this time.
The idol is very smooth and will be difficult to climb, but the rope you found earlier will help here, and you make it into a lasso. You whirl the
Score.
rope above your head and throw it up at the idol, smiling happily as it lands around its neck. You then tighten the noose and start to climb, hauling yourself up the rope. You are soon at the top of the idol, sitting on the bridge of its nose and holding on to the rope. You draw your sword and wonder which jeweled eye to prize out first.
Left one this time.
As you touch the idol's emerald eye, you hear a creaking sound below you. Looking down,
Oh.
you are shocked to see the two stuffed birds flying off. Their wings flap in jerky movements, but they are soon above you and look set to attack.
Oh no.
You'll fight the flying guardians one at a time, but reduce your skill by 2 during this combat because of your restricted position.
That's fair.
Coming at you with its razor-sharp talons, you're able to swipe your sword, partially removing one of the guardian's toes.
Nice.
You're able to grab the wing of the guardian and send it crashing into the idol. It recovers, but you took some of its stamina. The guardian snaps at you with its vicious beak. You parry, but the tip of the creature's
Damn.
beak sinks deep into your arm.
The crumpled form of the first flying guardian falls crashing to the floor. So you ready yourself to take
At
on
least
the
we
second.
kill it though.
The beating wing of the guardian smashes into the side of your head, leaving you seeing stars and sapping your
Damn.
stamina. The guardian snaps at you with its vicious beak, but you're able to smash the hilt of your sword into its outstretched neck.
Just barely.
Coming at you with its razor-sharp talons, you're able to swipe your sword, partially removing one of the guardian's
That
toes.
was a close
Your
fight.
final swipe dispatches the second flying guardian. You look down and see the crumpled bodies of the 2 flying guardians lying motionless on the floor. You start to prize out the idol's emerald eye with the tip of your sword. At last it comes free, and you are surprised by its weight when it falls into your hand. Hoping it may be of use later,
Score. More loot
you
for
put
me.
it in your backpack. Back on solid ground once again on the cavern floor, you try to shake the rope off the idol's neck. This will be a test of your luck. Remember, 2
Okay.
dice are rolled. Equal to or less than your current luck score,
I think we got this.
you'll have been lucky. Higher than your current luck score, you have been unlucky. The lasso loosens itself,
Nice.
and you are able to shake it free of the idol's neck. It falls to the floor with a loud clatter. You quickly coil the rope up again and put it in your backpack. Wasting no more time in the cavern, you run forward to the tunnel in the northern wall. Not much farther down the tunnel, you come to a closed door on your left. Putting your ear to the door, you listen intently but hear nothing.
Curious. Let's open the door.
You enter a room which is small and completely empty. As soon as you are inside, the door slams shut behind you. Suddenly a voice booms out of nowhere, shouting, "Welcome to Deathtrap Dungeon, the ingenious killer labyrinth of my master. Adventurer,
What up,
I
voice?
trust you will pay your respects to my master by shouting out
You
his
got
name.
it.
You take a deep breath and shout, "Succumvit as a worm!" Once again, the mysterious voice calls
Yeah,
out,
worm.
only this time, to your great surprise, in a far less threatening tone. Good. My master likes those who show spirit. Take this gift to help you. It will grant you one wish, but one wish only.
Nice, we got a
Farewell.
gift.
A gold ring magically appears out of nowhere and lands at your feet with a gentle tinkle. You pick it up and put it on one of your fingers.
Tinkle,
The door
tinkle.
opens and you step back into the tunnel to continue north. The tunnel twists and turns, but keeps steadily north. Ahead, you see a thin shaft of blue light streaming down from the ceiling to the floor. It sparkles and shimmers, and you can see images of
Ooh,
laughing
looks like a
faces
fun
in the
time.
light. You come to an arched doorway set in the right-hand wall of the tunnel. The heavy stone
I'll just
door
walk
is
around.
closed, but there is an iron latch and a round handle. Lifting the latch and pushing the heavy stone door open, you find yourself in a large cabin. The light is dim and murky, but as your eyes begin to adjust, you see that the walls are covered in green algae and running
Ew.
with moisture. The floor is strewn with straw.
Gross.
The atmosphere is warm, damp, and fetid, and a soft humming sound fills the air. You step gingerly through the straw towards a corner of the cabin where there appears to be a shallow pit. Peering warily into the pit, you are disgusted to see a mass of pale, writhing worms, some as much as 1/2 meter long. Nauseated,
Yay,
you are
worms.
about to turn away when you notice that their undulating bodies are swarming around a dagger, its point held fast in a crack in the pit floor. The hilt is cased in black leather, studded with opals,
Shiny
and the
object,
blade
must
is
get.
fashioned from a strange, reddish-black burnished metal you have never seen before. You long to touch the dagger, but this would mean plunging your hand in among the writhing worm.
Let's go for it.
Taking a deep breath, you lean over the pit and plunge your forearm into the mass of wriggling worms. They are cold and clammy and feel extremely nasty, but at least they are harmless, and you are able to seize the dagger by the hilt. You give it a hard tug and it comes away from the crack in which
Mine
the tip
now.
is embedded. Admiring its beauty and wondering whether it might once have belonged to some luckless contestant, you put the opal-studded dagger firmly in your belt and leave the cabin. As you make your way back to the doorway, the buzzing sound increases in intensity, and you look
Oh,
around desperately to discover
the
where it's
bees.
coming from. Glancing up in the nick of time, you see a huge and grotesque black shape of a giant fly emerging from a recess high
Ew.
up in the cavern wall. As it gets closer, you realize that it's
Time
at
to
least
run.
1.5 meters long. Its opaque wings vibrate, making the sickening buzzing noise you can hear, and its 6 black, hairy legs are poised to grasp your body. Below, its multifaceted eyes is a long, shiny black proboscis,
Nope,
which
nope, nope,
darts
nope,
in and
nope.
out venomously. You have stolen the giant fly's treasure from her brood of maggots, and you must face the consequences.
My treasure now.
It's time to test your luck again. Remember, a roll equal to or less than your luck score means you've been lucky, but a roll higher than your luck could end badly.
Bring it.
The giant fly swoops down again to try to capture you, but this time you manage to evade its outstretched legs. Stepping
Too
back,
fast.
you draw your sword to prepare to fight the hideous insect as it turns
Hell
to
yeah.
attack you again.
You hurl yourself at your enemy, fist flailing, and land a stunning blow. The creature flies at you so close you can't use your weapons. Grabbing it by its legs, you swing around, slamming it into a wall.
Nice.
You spin your sword around your head, clipping the fly and removing part of one of its legs.
Pleased
Take
with your
that.
victory, you wipe the vile yellow slime from the blade of your sword and walk quickly to the door, back to the tunnel, and head north. The tunnel ends shortly at a junction. Looking
We
left
doing
and
good
right,
so far.
you see a narrow passage disappearing into the dim distance. You walk down the passage and soon find yourself standing at the edge of a deep, dark pit. The passage continues east on the other side of the pit. You think you could probably jump over the pit, but you're not
I think
sure.
we can make it.
There is a rope hanging down from the ceiling over the center of the pit. Gripping the rope firmly, you step back to take a running jump. However, in the dim light, you do not notice
Shit.
that someone has cut the rope almost in two, just a little way above the section you are holding. As you swing out across the pit, it suddenly breaks, and you scream with
Oops.
fear as you plunge headlong to the depths below. You land heavily on your back, but luckily your backpack cushions your fall, only costing you 1 skill point and 2 stamina points. It could have been much worse. The darkness is almost pitch black at the bottom
Okay,
of the pit,
not bad.
and you crawl along the floor, groping in front of you. Suddenly your hand touches something cold, hard and smooth. The object is small and round, but you cannot figure out what it is. You place it in your backpack, hoping to see what it is once you are out of the pit. You continue to crawl forward and soon reach the pit wall. It's too smooth to climb, and you have to cut hand and toe holds in it with your sword. This takes a long time, but finally you climb
Damn.
out of the pit on the east side. You immediately check out the object in your backpack and discover that you have found an orb of blood-red ruby. You are absolutely delighted and head off east in high
Ooh,
spirits,
nice.
whistling softly. The tunnel makes a sudden left turn and continues north as far as you can see. You soon arrive at a closed wooden door in the left-hand wall.
I have to see what's behind the door.
The door opens into a large candlelit room filled with incredibly lifelike statues of knights and warriors. A white-haired old man dressed in tattered rags jumps out from behind one of the statues and starts to giggle. Though he looks like a fool, the sparkle
Small
in his
old
eyes
person.
make you think there is more to him. In a high-pitched voice, he says, Oh, good. Another stone for my garden. I'm glad you have come to join your friends. Now, I'm a fair man, so I'll ask you a question. If you answer correctly, I'll let you go free. But if your answer is wrong, I'll turn you to stone.
Sounds fair.
He starts to chuckle again, obviously pleased with your arrival. The old man points at one of the statues, and you recognize it immediately. It is the knight who started the trial of champions. The agonized look on his face locked in stone for eternity. The old man smiles, saying, "This man weighs 100 pounds
Well,
plus
the
half
knight
his
didn't
weight.
do too good.
How much does he weigh?" What will you answer? Still smiling, the old man looks at you and says quietly, "Wrong." And before you can do anything else, he mumbles a
Shit.
few strange words into the air. You feel your muscles harden and your skin go taut. You start to panic, but there is nothing you can do to
We're
stop
stoned.
the petrification of your body. Your adventure ends here. The tunnel makes a sudden left turn. The door opens into a large candlelit room filled with incredibly lifelike statues of knights
Okay,
and warriors.
let's do this.
A white-haired old man dressed in tattered rags jumps out from behind one of the statues and starts to giggle. Though he looks like a fool, the sparkle in his eyes makes you think there is more to him. In a high-pitched voice, he says, "Oh, good. Another stone for my garden. I'm glad you have come to join your friends. Now, I'm a fair man, so I'll ask you a question. If you answer correctly, I'll let you go free. But if your answer is wrong, I'll turn you to stone." He starts to chuckle again, obviously pleased with your arrival. The old man points at one of the statues.
Lay it on me.
You recognize it immediately. It is the knight who started the trial of champions. The agonized look on his face locked in stone for eternity. The old man smiles, saying, "This man weighs 100 pounds plus half his weight. How much does he weigh?" What will you answer? Still smiling, the old man looks at you and says quietly, "Wrong." And before you can do anything else, he
Shit.
mumbles a few strange words into the air. You feel your muscles harden and your skin go taut. You start to panic, but there is nothing you can do to stop the petrification of your body.
And we're stoned
Your
again.
adventure ends here.
Let me take a quick stretch break. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Had to grab some water. Let's continue the journey.
The tunnel makes a sudden left turn and continues north. The door opens. The old man points at one of the statues, and you recognize it immediately. It is the knight who started the trial of
Okay,
champions.
I guess it's
The
200.
agonized look on his face locked in stone for eternity. The old man smiles, saying,
This man weighs 100 pounds plus half his weight. How much does he weigh?
"What will you answer?" Still smiling, the old man looks at you and says,
Well done, stranger. You have
Nice.
answered correctly. I wish you good fortune during the rest of the trial of champions.
Score.
And to this end, I shall increase your powers.
He then mutters a few more unintelligible words, and
Woot
you
woot.
feel a powerful surge soar through your body, increasing your skill, stamina, and luck by 1. You bid the old man farewell and leave his room to continue north along the passage. Only a few meters further down the passage, you see another closed door in the left-hand wall. The letter X is scratched into its center panel. Putting your ear to the door, you listen intently, but can hear nothing. The door opens into a large room. Looking around,
I
you
guess
see an
we'll do the
alcove
door
in the west
again.
wall. In the middle of the room, sitting in the chair, is the skeleton of an armed warrior, possibly a contestant from years gone by. The skeletal
Spooky.
fingers of its right hand grip a crumpled parchment. Touching the parchment has precisely the effect you had feared. The skeleton lurches forward, and rising from its chair in a series of jerky movements, raises its sword to strike.
Battle time.
Lunging sideways, you draw your sword to defend yourself.
Bring it.
You run around the jerking skeleton, smashing your sword into its arm.
You quickly eat some provisions, increasing your stamina by 4 points.
The skeleton is strong, but slow. You swing your sword, which
Nice.
smashes into its leg. You dodge to the side as the warrior swings its sword. You kick out, knocking its
Getting
leg
some
out
good
from
rolls
under it.
in.
Once again, you reach
Awesome.
for the parchment, only this time lying amidst a pile of broken bones. Unfolding it, you see a map of a room with a drawing of a hideous creature inside it. Beneath the monster is a rhyme, which reads, "Should you meet the manticore, of its tail beware. Shield yourself against the spikes flying through the air." You fold
Noted.
up the piece of parchment and put it in your backpack, repeating the rhyme over and over to yourself. You walk across to the alcove. At the back of the alcove are some steps leading down into a cellar. Cobwebs brush your face as you descend. The cellar ceiling is quite low, and the floor is strewn with debris. In the middle of the wall opposite you is an archway which leads into another crystal-lit tunnel. There are large mushrooms growing on the debris to your right.
What the hell, might as well eat a mushroom.
You break off a large piece of the mushroom and bite into it eagerly. But immediately your stomach feels bloated, and you can even see it beginning to bulge below your belt. Your whole body starts to expand, bursting out of your clothes with a loud ripping sound. You grow bigger and bigger, and soon your face is pressed against the ceiling. The mushrooms you have eaten are much sought after by wizards for their growth potions, but to you they spell doom. You are too large ever to leave the cellar, and your adventure ends.
Oh no.
Only a few meters further down the passage, you see another closed. Touching the parchment has precisely the effect you had feared.
Fight the skeleton again.
You quickly eat some provisions, increasing your stamina by 4 points.
You fall back as the warrior advances towards you. You manage to roll away before he brings his sword down on you.
A tie, dang.
You run around the jerking skeleton, smashing your sword into its arm. The skeleton is strong, but slow.
Nice.
You swing your sword, which smashes into its leg.
Once again, you reach at the back of the alcove. The tunnel continues west for several hundred meters, finally ending at some steps leading up to a closed trapdoor.
Avoid the mushrooms
You
this
climb the
time.
steps slowly, hearing muffled voices above you. In the dim light, you can see that the trapdoor is not locked. You hear footsteps, and suddenly the trapdoor is thrown back. For a few seconds, you are completely blinded by the bright light from the room above. You do not see the goblin thrusting his spear downwards, or hear his sadistic laughter as the point pierces your neck. Your adventure ends here. The tunnel continues west for several hundred meters, finally ending at some steps leading up to a closed trapdoor. You climb the steps slowly, hearing muffled voices above you. In the dim light, you can see that the trapdoor is not locked. You throw the trapdoor open and run up the steps into a bright, lantern-lit room. Two goblins are sharpening their short swords on a stone set in the middle of the floor. You catch them momentarily off guard, but they quickly recover and both rush forward to attack you. A point of note here, adventurer. Because of the shape of the room, both goblins will have a separate attack on you in each attack round. However, here your attack will only be effective on one of the goblins. Against the other, you must still use your attack strength in a normal way. But even if your attack would have been effective, you will not wound it. It will just count this as though you have defended yourself. However, if its attack strength is greater, it will have wounded you in the normal way.
You thrust your sword, and you clearly damage the creature.
Nice.
You both swing for each other, and in the confusion, both miss.
Damn.
Your enemy is strong, but slow, and screams in pain as your sword sinks into his leg.
Good hit.
You lunge at the creature's stomach with your sword drawn, but the creature whips around, parrying your blow. Neither of you are harmed. You hurl yourself at your enemy, fists flailing, and land a stunning blow.
1 down.
You thrust your sword, and you clearly damage the creature.
By 1 point.
Your enemy is strong, but slow, and screams in pain as your sword sinks into his leg. You hurl yourself at your enemy, fists flailing, and land a stunning blow.
Triumphant in one of your toughest battles to date,
Nice roll
you
there.
see that the only furniture in the goblin's room is a table, 2 chairs, and a cupboard on the wall. There are 2 closed doors, one in the west wall and the other in the north wall. The cupboard contains a wooden mallet and 10 iron spikes, which you put in your backpack while wondering which door to open.
How about the north?
The door opens into another tunnel, which rises gently into the distance. After walking uphill for a while, the tunnel levels out, and you soon arrive at a door in the right-hand wall, to which a withered hand is nailed.
What the hell, might as well open this door too.
You enter a room in which a man in tattered clothing is standing chained to the wall by his left arm, and you see that his right hand is missing and realize that this must be the one nailed to the door. Pleading for mercy, he cowers back from you as far as his chains will
Well
allow.
then.
You step up to the frightened man and cleave the chain with your sword. He drops to his knees and bows, thanking you over and over again. He tells you that 4 years ago, he entered the Trial of Champions but failed. He fell down a pit and had to be rescued by a trial master, one of Baron Sukhumvit's dungeon administrators. He was offered a choice between death or servitude in Deathtrap dungeon as the trial master's minion. Choosing the latter, he worked like a slave until he could stand it no longer and tried to escape. Alas, he was unsuccessful and was captured by the trial master's wandering orc guards. To teach him a lesson, they cut off
Damn,
his hand
that's brutal.
and condemned him to a year's imprisonment in this cell. You ask him whether he has any information that might be of use to you. He scratches his head. Well, I haven't exactly done very well in here myself, but I do know that you need to collect gems and precious stones if you hope to get out. I don't know why.
Get
But there it
gems,
is.
got it.
Without another word, the ragged prisoner dashes out of the room, turning left into the tunnel. You decide to keep heading north and turn right. There is an open pipe in the right-hand wall, about 1 meter in diameter. It is too dark to see far down it. You shout into it, and hear your voice echoing down the iron pipe until eventually the sound fades away.
Sure, let's go into the pipe.
The pipe is wet and slimy, but you crawl on into the dank darkness, slithering and sliding as you go. Suddenly your hand touches something hard and square, which feels as if it is made of wood. It rattles as you shake it, and you decide you must be holding a box.
A box, maybe.
Removing the box lid by the light of the tunnel, you find an iron key and a large gem.
Neat.
It is a sapphire. Placing the items carefully in your backpack, you gain 1 luck point and set off north once again. There is a new branch in the tunnel on your left, and ahead you see 2 bodies lying on the floor. You stop and peer down the new tunnel, but seeing no doors or creatures, you decide against walking down it. With your sword drawn, you walk over to the bodies of the 2 orc guards. At least one of your rivals in the Trial of Champions must still be ahead of you. A quick search of the bodies produces nothing, apart from a necklace of teeth around the neck
Neat.
of one of the orcs.
I'll take it.
The necklace is an amulet of strength, which adds 1 skill point and 1 stamina point.
Nice.
Pleased with your find, you continue your quest north. The tunnel soon ends at a junction. Standing there alone and wondering which way to go is one of your rivals. It is one of the barbarians. You call out to him, but at first he does not answer. He merely stares at you coldly, his hands firmly
What up,
gripping
barbarian?
his axe. You walk up to him and ask which way he is heading. He grunts his reply, saying that he is going west, and you may go with him if you wish.
Sounds like a good idea.
Although you are slightly uneasy in each other's company, knowing that there can only be one winner in the Trial of Champions, you are both content to share in the benefits of a temporary alliance. And you begin to tell each other of your exploits so far, of the monsters and traps encountered and the dangers overcome. Walking along, you soon come to the edge of a wide pit. It is too deep and dark to see to the bottom. The barbarian suggests he lowers you to the bottom with his rope, saying he has a torch which he can light for you to use.
Sounds like a good deal to me.
You tie the rope around your waist and take hold of the lighted torch given to you by Throm, as your barbarian ally calls himself. Taking hold of the slack rope, Throm lowers you slowly over the edge of the pit and down into the dark depths below. You can see by the light of the torch that the sides of the pit are extremely smooth. You drop about 20 meters before hitting the bottom of the pit. There, you see another tunnel heading north, and you call up to Throm and tell him of your discovery. He calls back, saying that he is going to tie the rope around a protruding rock on the edge of the pit and will come down and join you. You hear him climbing down, and soon you are together again. Throm retrieves his rope by shaking it off the rock, and you set off north along the new tunnel.
On a stone ledge in the tunnel
Onward
wall,
and forward.
you see two dusty leather-bound books. Throm grunts his contempt for the written word, urging you to leave the books and hurry on.
I have to touch the books.
The book pages are sealed together, but a small hole has been cut out in the middle of them, just large enough to hold a small corked bottle containing a clear liquid. You show it to Throm, who holds up his hand, indicating that he does not want you to come anywhere near him with it. His distrust of things unknown is
I'll drink it.
strongly evident. As you open the book, it immediately begins to disintegrate, the pages turning to dust in your hands.
Of
You
course.
manage to keep a few fragments and read the handwritten script. The book appears to be about monsters, and from what you can make out, it contains a full description of a monster called the Blood Beast. It is a horrific, bloated creature with tough, spiny skin and facial blisters which burst open to become mock eyes, evolved to hide the Blood Beast's only weak spot, the real eyes. Blood beasts usually dwell in pools of fetid slime which give off a poisonous gas so
Neat.
strong that it alone can easily knock people unconscious. The blood beast, although too bulbous to haul itself out of its slime pool, has a long and vicious tongue which it wraps around its victims before it drags them into its pool. As the helpless and still living victim's flesh decomposes in the vile slime, the blood beast will feed on it. You tell Throm about the grotesque blood beast. He merely shrugs his shoulders and tells you to get going. Setting off, you continue your journey north with Throm.
Neat.
The tunnel turns sharply to the right, continuing east for as far as you can see. Throm stops and tells you to halt as well. He turns his head slowly from side to side, listening. I hear footsteps coming down the tunnel towards us, he whispers. Draw your sword. You both crouch down to hide in the shadows.
You got it.
Not a minute too soon. For a moment later, you see the silhouette of two armed guards. Throm jumps up and dashes forward, screaming a loud battle cry. They are two cave trolls. Throm
battle.
attacks the first one with his battle axe, and you run to his aid to attack the second. You drop to the ground, sweeping away the troll's legs. It howls as its
Hell
head
yeah.
hits the hard ground. You drop to the ground, grab the creature, and ram its head hard into the wall.
Nice.
You hurl yourself at your enemy, fists flailing, and land a stunning blow. You look to the left and see Throm standing over the cave troll he has slain.
No damage done.
Blood is
Woot
pouring
woot.
out from a deep cut in his shoulder, but it does not seem to worry him. You search the bodies of the cave trolls, but find nothing apart from a bone ring on a leather cord hanging round the neck of one of them. The ring is engraved with a symbol which Throm recognizes. He explains that it must have belonged to druids of the north, and that an ancient talisman such as this will increase your powers if your body is able to accept it.
Let's do it.
As soon as you put the ring on your finger, your whole body starts to shake. We'll see how skillful you really are. Remember, a roll equal to or less than your skill score means you've been skillful,
Got it.
but a roll higher than your skill could end badly. Your body continues to vibrate intensely, and you feel as if you're about to pass out. But your strength is great, and you manage to withstand the tremendous shock to your system. Finally,
Nice.
you calm down and begin to feel the ring's beneficial powers working on you and adding 3 stamina points. You see Throm looking at you anxiously, so you reassure him
Woot
that you are
woot.
fully recovered. He strides off east, and you follow him eagerly. The tunnel leads into a damp cavern with a high ceiling and rock-strewn floor. Long and wet, teeth-like stalactites hang down threateningly. Their constant dripping creates milky pools on the floor. The tunnel carries on through an archway carved in the shape of a demonic mouse.
Might as well search it.
You walk around the cavern, but find nothing of interest. Throm calls
Damn.
out behind you, saying that he has found a leather pouch under a pile of rocks. Opening the pouch, he laughs out loud as a tiny mouse runs through his fingers and scurries off into the crevice behind 2 boulders. Suddenly,
Cute.
you hear the sound of cracking rock above you and look up to see stalactites breaking off from the roof. Throm's booming laugh, which still echoes through the chamber, has made the stalactites
Good
vibrate
job.
and break off. You yell at Throm to run through the archway as the stalactites start to crash to the floor. This will be a test of your luck. Despite the stalactites crashing all around you, you manage to dash through the archway without injury.
Too lucky.
You look around and see Throm thundering towards you, one arm held over his head for protection. He dashes into the tunnel and leans against the cold wall, panting heavily, apologizing for starting the rockfall, and offers you his hand to shake. You tell Throm
You
that
got it.
maybe he should use sign language in future, even for laughing. You both smile and head east once more. The tunnel ends at a large oak door. Throm wastes no time in testing the handle and is somewhat surprised to find the door unlocked. He pushes it open and walks into a torch-lit chamber. Sitting alone on an ornate chair is a dwarf who bids you enter. As you do so,
What
the
up?
oak door swings shut behind you. Adventurers, you have done well to get this far, says the dwarf in a deep voice. However, as you both know, there can only be one winner in the Trial of Champions. As Trial Master, it is my duty to Baron Circumvit
Yep, only
to
one
let
allowed.
only the most able continue. Therefore, I must devise a test of wits and strength to eliminate one of you. Please do not attempt to dispose of me. It will be utterly pointless, for, as you can see, there is no obvious way out of this chamber, and only I know where the hidden exit lies. Know if you would care to decide between you who will go first.
That sounds fair.
I shall make the necessary preparations. You look at Throm, suddenly angry that your effective partnership might come to an end. He leans over and whispers in your ear that you should try to kill the dwarf and worry about the exit later.
Nope.
You tell Throm that there is no point in killing the dwarf, as you will never find your way out of the chamber alone. You argue that an opportunity of tricking the dwarf might arise later.
Yeah, dwarf
once
is
you have found
magical,
the
and
exit
no
from
point.
the chamber. So you intend to go through with the dwarf's test. You tell the dwarf that you are ready, and he beckons you to follow him, telling Throm to wait for his return. A secret door opens in the chamber wall, and you follow the dwarf into a small circular room. He closes the door behind you and hands you 2 bone dice, telling you to throw them onto the floor.
Got
You
it.
roll a 6 and a 2, a total of 8. The dwarf asks you to roll them again, but this time you must predict whether the total will be the same, less, or more than the 8.
Probably less.
The dwarf congratulates you for guessing correctly.
Nice.
He tells you that you must now progress to the second stage of the test. He reaches for a wicker basket and tells you that a snake is held within it. He tips the basket over, and the snake drops onto the floor. It is a cobra, and it rears up in the air, ready to strike. The dwarf tells you that
Danger
he wishes
noodle.
to test your reactions. Barehanded, you must grasp the cobra below its head, avoiding its deadly fangs. You crouch down on the floor, tensing yourself for the moment to seize it. This will be a tough test of your skill. With lightning speed, you thrust your hand out and grip the cobra just below its open
Nice.
mouth. You lift it up, and with your arm outstretched, you dangle it in front of the dwarf. He doesn't flinch, but says in his calm, expressionless way,
Please put the cobra back in the basket and prepare for the final part of the test. Follow me.
You got it.
You do what he says and follow him back into the chamber, where Throm is pacing up and down, obviously ill at ease. You wave to him while the dwarf opens a second secret door and tells you to walk on through and wait for him. Again you comply, and you find yourself in another circular room, although this one resembles a small arena. The floor is covered with sand, and a small balcony runs around the arena wall.
Pocket sand.
Opposite the secret entrance you came in through is an ominous-looking wooden door. Suddenly you hear a shout, and you look up to see the smiling dwarf standing on the balcony. He throws 2 pieces of paper down to you. On one of them, the words, "No
Manticore.
crop is," are written. On the other, "Ruin moat." In his ever-calm voice, he says,
If you rearrange the letters of the words, you will find the names of 2 creatures. You may choose which one to fight in my arena of death.
Can you identify the creature by rearranging the letters? You call out to the dwarf that you are ready to fight the Minotaur. The wooden door rises slowly, and you see the fearsome
Sure.
beast, half man, half bull, step into the arena. Steam blows from its nostrils as it works itself up into a rage, ready to attack. Suddenly it rushes forward, swinging its double-headed axe.
Your speed is improving. You run directly at the Minotaur and slice
Woot
at its
woot.
leg as you run by. The Minotaur leans forward and takes a run at you. Speed is impressive, but you
Too
duck and roll
fast.
aside, landing a heavy blow on its shin. The Minotaur swings its huge axe above its head. You step aside as it smashes into the floor. You're able to land an attack from
Boom.
the side.
The dwarf calls down from the balcony, congratulating you on your victory. He throws the sack down into the arena and tells you to relax and regain your strength for the final part of the test. Then he walks off, saying he will return in about 10 minutes. You open the sack and find a jug of wine
Sounds good.
and a cooked chicken. The food and drink are excellent and you feel much better, gaining 2 more stamina points. Fully satisfied, you sit down and await the dwarf's return. After about 20 minutes, the dwarf reappears on the balcony. He calls down to you, saying,
Well, I do have an interesting problem on my hands. Prepare to fight your next opponent.
The wooden door rises once again, and you are surprised
Is it the
to
barbarian?
see a familiar face. It is Throm. He is
Yep.
cut and badly bruised and doesn't seem to recognize you.
Figures.
He is clearly delirious as he staggers forward with his axe raised to attack you. The dwarf laughs and says,
The cobra bit him, but he has the strength of an ox and managed to carry on, even though most men would have died. Now you must fight him to decide finally which of you will continue the trial of champions.
Bring it on.
You shout abuse at the dwarf, protesting the cruelty of such a contest. He merely laughs, and you have no option but to defend yourself against poor Throm. Despite his wounds, he is immensely strong. You drop to the ground, sweeping away Throm's legs. You hate him
Nice.
as he howls as his head hits the hard ground. Throm is tall, and you duck, grab him, and ram his head hard into the wall. You hurl yourself at Throm, fists flailing, and land a
I
stunning
win.
blow on his chin. Exhausted
Hee hee.
by a long duel, you fall to your knees as you stare at Throm's still body. A bitter loathing for the dwarf fills your heart. Somehow, you will avenge Throm. Engulfed in your hatred, you do not notice the dwarf enter the arena until he is standing right in front of you, a loaded crossbow aimed at your chest.
I know what you are thinking,
He says calmly.
but remember that only I know the way out of here. Get up.
True.
It's time for you to leave.
Once on your feet, the dwarf indicates that you should walk ahead of him. Back in the chamber, he crosses over to the northern wall and pushes against one of its stones. A door-like section of the wall swings out, opening into another crystal-lit tunnel. With his crossbow still aimed at your chest, the dwarf smiles, saying,
Good luck.
Thanks.
The tunnel soon divides into 2. You hear a buzzing sound coming from the western branch.
Sure, let's go west.
There is a large panel of glass in the left-hand wall of the tunnel. Through it, you can see a bright, torch-lit room teeming with giant insects of every possible description.
Ooh, another
Bees,
shiny.
Wasps, beetles, ticks. Even the mites are over 6 centimeters long. The noise is threatening. In the middle of the room, a jeweled crown lies on top of a small table. What looks like a large diamond is set in the middle of the crown. You smash the glass with the hilt of your sword, making a hole big enough to climb through.
Let's do it.
Immediately, the giant insects start swarming and jumping towards you. Wasting no time, you clamber into the room, grabbing one of the lit torches to defend yourself. The fire keeps most of the insects at bay, but by the time you have snatched the crown and climbed back into the corridor,
Some of them have stung you. We'll roll 1 die and add 2 to the total to decide how many
Got it.
stings you have suffered, reducing your stamina by 1 for each sting.
The giant insects do not chase you,
Not bad.
preferring the bright light of the room they are in. You examine the crown and see with disgust that it is merely painted iron, and the diamond is just glass and totally worthless.
Well,
You throw it on the ground in a rage and wonder which way to go next.
Ahead, in the far distance, you hear the sound of slow footsteps coming towards you. Unsure of who or what might be approaching, you look around for a place to hide. You see a large crack in the tunnel wall which lies in shadow.
You have to squeeze yourself deep into the crack to conceal yourself completely. From this cramped position,
Right
you are
in the
unable
crack.
to see the owner of the feet that shuffle slowly by. A minute later, all is quiet again as you pull yourself back out into the tunnel and head west. After a short while, you arrive at another junction in the tunnel with a choice of 2 directions.
We'll go north.
Set back in the arched alcove in the tunnel wall, you see an ornate wooden chair carved in the shape of a demon-like bird of prey.
Ooh, fancy chair, let's sit in it.
You grip the arms of the chair tightly, half expecting a surge of energy or pain to rush through your body. Do you think luck is on your side?
Sure.
Squeezing the arm of the chair triggers a secret panel which springs into the air. You find a glass vial lying in a cavity. You pick it up and read the label. Doppelganger potion, 1 dose only. This liquid will make your body take on the shape of
neat.
a nearby being. You place the strange potion in your backpack and continue north, where the tunnel starts to slope downwards and finally comes to an end at a deep pool enclosed by the tunnel wall. There does not appear to be any way of traveling further north. You turn around and walk back down the tunnel, passing the wooden chair, where you soon arrive at the junction and turn right to head west. The tunnel turns sharply to the right and continues north for as far as you can see.
At least we got a
There
cool
is a door in
potion.
the left-hand wall which is ajar, and you hear someone cry for help from the other side of it.
The door opens into a small room with a straw-covered floor. There is a large draped cage standing some 2 meters high in the center of the room. A cord fixed to the top of the drape runs through an iron ring in the ceiling and hangs down to the floor.
I'm sure it's fine.
You pull the cord and watch the drape as it rises up the sides of an iron cage. The woman's voice urges you to be quick, telling you that the room is booby-trapped,
And we have the key.
so that the floor will fall away in 1 minute because of your extra weight. The drape rises to the top of the cage, and there, to your horror, you see the face of an aged woman whose hair is a mass of seething snakes. It is the dreaded Medusa. Are you
Oh
lucky
boy.
enough to avoid her gaze? Recognizing the snake-like head of the Medusa, you close your eyes to avoid her
Too
deadly
fast.
stare that would turn you to stone. The Medusa shrieks as you enter her cage,
Keeping your eyes firmly closed and slashing your sword wildly from side to side, you feel the blade sink deep into her side and hear a loud thud as she slumps heavily to the ground.
Hell yeah.
You open your eyes again and shudder at the sight of the prostrate figure of the Medusa. Her gown is fastened by a large brooch bearing a single bright red gem. It is a garnet, and you prize it out of its setting, put it in your pocket, and leave the room
Another gem for me.
to head north.
Hee hee.
The tunnel continues for quite a distance before you reach a junction. Ahead, you see that the tunnel turns a corner, beyond which it continues north. You stop before the corner, startled by the sound of high-pitched voices, whispering and sniggering. You peep around the corner and see two small creatures running away from you. Both are dressed in baggy clothes and wear pointed floppy hats. They are mischievous
Leprechauns.
A brown velvet curtain is draped over an archway in the eastern wall of the tunnel. You enter a cold room, divided by a deep chasm. A rope is stretched taut across the chasm to the far side,
Ooh, neat.
where a magnificent winged helmet rests on top of a pole.
Sure, why not?
Testing every last drop of your skill, you step nervously onto the rope, not daring to look down. Halfway across, you start to panic and lose your footing. Walking on a rope like this requires skill. Well, test yours. As you fall, you manage to grab the rope with your hands. Slowly,
Nice.
you haul yourself over to the far side and scramble up onto the floor.
That was a close one.
You lift the helmet off the pole and put it on your head. It has been made by a highly skilled ironsmith and increases
Woot woot.
your skill by 1 point. Not wanting to risk walking back across the tightrope, you decide to crawl along it. Safely back on firm ground, you step through the archway and head north, up the tunnel. The tunnel continues north a long way before turning sharp right. Around the corner you come to a dead end. Only the mouth of a wooden chute in the wall offers any hope of further progress. You decide to take a chance and climb into the chute. You slide gently down and emerge into a room, landing on your back. As soon as you stand up, you are confronted by the most repulsive sight you have ever laid eyes on. There in front of you, wallowing in a circular pool of fetid slime, is a bulbous creature too horrible to be believed. Its body is green and covered all over with fearsome-looking spikes. Its face is a mass of crimson blisters, one of which suddenly bursts to reveal yet another of its many sinister, all-seeing eyes.
We already read about this one, so we know what to do.
Leads into another tunnel in the far wall. Remembering the description of the vile blood
We
beast
got this.
and the warning about the toxic gas rising from its pool, you cover your mouth with your sleeve and step forward with your sword drawn, wary of the blood beast's tongue. As you step around the side of the pool, it rolls forward and flicks out its tongue. But you are ready for it and cleave it with one swipe of your sword. The beast howls in pain and stretches forward frantically, trying to clasp you between its blood-filled jaws.
Hee hee, take that.
You start hacking at its hideous face in an attempt to pierce its real eyes.
Boom.
You quickly eat some provisions, increasing your stamina by 4 points.
The creature turns and whips its tail at you. The fierce spike at the end misses you by millimeters.
Was a close
You
one.
jump forward and strike a clean blow into its rear. The creature reaches for you with its mouth from the pool. You step back to avoid it,
Damn.
but slip on its fetid slime. It sinks its teeth into your ankle, costing you precious stamina. Again, the bulbous creature strikes for you with its hideous fangs. You jump clear of them, striking out and smashing one clean out of its hideous mouth.
Your blade strikes one of the blood beast's real eyes with devastating
That
effect.
was too close.
It slumps back into its pool, thrashing about in a frenzy. You seize the opportunity and run around the side of the pool to the tunnel exit. The tunnel leads into a large room, its ceiling supported by several marble pillars. As you enter the room, you see a strange beast to your right. It has the body of a lion with dragon-like wings attached to it, but its head
Manticore.
is like that of an old bearded man. You recognize the beast.
We got
It is
this.
a manticore. Taking heed of the warning poem you took from the skeleton warrior, you watch out for its tail, which sprouts a profusion of sharp spikes at its tip, thick and hard as iron bolts. You raise your shield in front of you just in time to protect yourself from a volley of spikes released from the manticore's tail and aim straight at your heart. They sink into your shield, and you remain unharmed. Swiftly, you draw your sword and advance on the manticore.
The giant creature
Attack.
whips its spiked tail at you, firing more spikes. You duck and roll, quickly slicing a chunk from its tail, passing close to you. You seize an opportunity to attack
Bring
the
it
creature's
on.
leg, but it's ready for you. And before you can strike, it rips your leg with its razor-sharp claws. You seize an opportunity to attack the creature's back leg and manage to bury your sword deep into its thigh.
Too
As you are
close.
wiping the manticore's blood from your sword, you are surprised to see a small man jump out from behind one of the marble pillars. He is dressed in a tight-fitting green tunic and looks quite harmless, although you are wary of the way he is holding an opaque
Little
glass
dude.
ball with a shimmering green light. "Greetings," he says cheerfully. "My name is Igbot,
What
the
the?
gnome, and I am the trial master for your final test. Needless to say, my magical powers are great, so you should not try to attack me. You may have learnt
You
during your
got it.
quest that gems play an essential part in the trial of champions. The iron door in front of you is the victory exit, but there is only one way of opening it. 3 gems have to be put into the lock mechanism in the correct order. Each gem
I do have 3
radiates a
gems.
unique energy, which will trigger the mechanism. If you do it correctly, that is. But first, we need the correct gems. First, you will need an emerald. The gnome smiles and says, "You truly are a great adventurer. Now,
Nice.
you will also need a sapphire."
Woot woot.
The gnome, still smiling, says excitedly, "Excellent. Just one to go. Lastly, you'll need a diamond."
Shit.
The gnome shakes his head and says, "I'm afraid that you have failed the trial of champions.
Baron Sukhumvit's Deathtrap dungeon will keep its secrets for another year, as you will not be allowed to leave here. You are appointed my servant for the rest of your days to prepare and modify the dungeon for future contestants. Perhaps, in another life, you will succeed.
We tried. I'm going to go ahead and end it there for today. I'm getting tired, and must go to sleep. No stream tomorrow, because I have to help pick out photos for something coming up. I'll see you all later. Probably another late night stream. Take care of yourselves and each other. Much love, and stay awesome.